Welcome again to another of our Saturday meetings. Great to see you all. Today, I thought we could talk about physical and emotional resilience and to differentiate between resistance and resilience, and also to see how to cultivate physical resilience and emotional resilience. And of course, the two are very much interconnected. And something that motivated a little bit this idea of the resilience is because once again, we are with challenges, personal challenges, ecological challenges, you name it, even some political challenges there, and the Delta variant. And so we might feel, I thought I had overcome all that. You mean we are going to start again? and and resilience is the capacity to keep learning while in a traumatic situation or in a continuous challenge, and how to learn during it and after it. So we know that we can help our body to be more resistant to sickness, for example, if we have a good diet, if we manage to somehow rest and sleep, and if we do exercise, all that boosts our functioning and it gives us some resistance to sickness. And about diet, we know, green leaves and nuts and no sugar and as little salt as possible, and not fry things, and if possible, not so much meat, but more plant-based diet. It helps a lot with the health of your microbiota, your gut, your intestine, and that has a major role in the chemistry of your body. So it's important to have a good diet, and it's important to sleep 7-8 hours if that's something that your body can more or less cultivate. And we have several videos on this, so I'm not going to go into that. And also it's very important to stretch and exercise, because we were designed to move. So if we are for a long time without moving, it also affects our whole system. So those are basic, and I'm not going to be talking about that so much today, but there are videos about this in the new paradigms. And there are going to be more videos also on these subjects. Today, I want to concentrate on resilience, which is this capacity to keep learning during moments of challenge and to keep assisting our body and our mind and our heart, our whole emotional and mental life. And it takes several elements. One of them, and I'm quoting here an expert on these subjects. His name is Boris Cyrulnik, Cyrulnik, Boris Cyrulnik. He's a French psychiatrist, neurobiologist, and educator who has written 18 books for the general public and 18 books for his colleagues in the profession. And he's a very well-respected expert on all this. And he has the books in French, in English, in Spanish. So you take your pick, put his name, Boris Cyrulnik, and you see his books. For example, he has one called Resilience, and how can your inner strengths help you to overcome your past, to be free of your past. And there are many other ones, many other books. So he says one of the components is security. You need to have some sense of safeness, of being secure within yourself and also in your environment. And we are going to do some practices to practice that sense of being grounded, of being rooted, of being supported. So that's one of the components for resilience, because when we feel secure, And it's not about money, and it's not about guns, it's not about external security, it's about internal security. And so we'll see how we can cultivate that. So that's a major component for resilience, because when you feel secure, your whole body works best, and you have better access to the capacities that are in our prefrontal cortex, which means how to understand better what's going on and how to come up with better situations. When we are fearful and stressed and anxious, it's totally natural. I mean, we are in a traumatic situation, or we are facing hard challenges, and we are fearful, and then we close up. And so, but when we close up with the stress and the anxiety, that wreaks havoc in our whole organism. It, for example, diminishes the capacity of our immune system to help us to fight infections and virus and tumors and so on. So we are at the same time trying to advance in seeing how to work, for example, with the Delta variant or whatever challenge. And at the same time, we are cutting ourselves short, because that stress and anxiety is depleting us. It also wreaks havoc in our endocrine system, in the hormones of cortisol, for example, and all that very much affect the balance, the hormonal balance inside. And it is very bad for our nervous system. The brain kind of gets almost like clogged, locked, and the amygdala keeps sending, more alarm signs, and so we feel more and more overwhelmed. We are trying to get out of the situation, but we have thoughts that are negative thoughts that feed or trigger negative emotions, and the emotions make us think even more about it. And so it's just a whole cascade of negative effects that we feel in our body. It's bad for our circulation, it raises our blood pressure, it makes more difficult to breathe calmly, it upsets your digestion, it upsets your sleep. So we know that we have this 5-to-1 tendency to go to that, and that's really not good for our body. So one of the things that we need to do is, when we notice that these sensations are coming from our body, I'm getting nervous, I'm getting irritable, I'm getting overwhelmed, immediately use that as a sign to go to the deep breath. And we're going to do 5 deep breaths, and we're going to combine the breath with release point to have a sensation of calmness. And we are going to practice other things, but I want to start with this very basic um, practice. And I also want to introduce to you, if you haven't heard about it before, the understanding of a new kind of medicine, and it's called lifestyle medicine. So this lifestyle medicine, instead of using so much pharmacological things and surgical interventions, which sometimes are necessary, but what they are using, what they are understanding more and more, is that if we want to see changes in chronic situations or in states of um, unbalance, let's say the body is always trying to bounce back to balance. If we want to correct that, what's necessary is for the inhabitant of the body, you, each one of us, to take initiative to bring changes, daily changes in your life. So that's called lifestyle medicine. And it includes diet, exercise, movement, but I'm also today mainly focusing on paying attention and using our intention in wise ways, so that we support this resilience. We cultivate it within us, so that we can have it as a deep inner resource, as a psychological resource that we can use anytime. But for that, means we have to work every day. I mean, this is what we are learning here. We are learning to know ourselves better, to observe what's going on with our body, with our mind, and then to intervene in ways that start to create a different path. I mean, we have talked about this, that because we have this 5-to-1 tendency to worry and to keep thinking about the negative things, about what we regret about the past or what we fear about the future, we keep creating this path of worrying, of fear, of anxiety. And we need to create new ways, new paths, new highways, new carreteras, not only caminos, but carreteras. And this is a good analogy. If we think of our brain that has 100 million neurons and capable of so many synapses, so many other connections between neurons, they pass messages to each other. Every time they pass messages, they create these groups, they create these caminos, these carreteras, these highways. And so we are really consciously, with this lifestyle medicine and with this that we are practicing here of learning to know ourselves and to cultivate through simple practices, cultivate daily, we want to create this whole new way of interconnections between the neurons, not only in our brain, but through the whole nervous system, and in the connection also between neurotransmitters at the level of our heart and at the level of our gut, to have new ways of responding. So one physical way to cultivate physical resilience and also emotional resilience is the breath. And we are going to combine breath and release points with this, and we are going to keep adding some other practices. But today I wanted to emphasize how important it is to not only practice during the week. I'm delighted that you are all here practicing, and I'm sure you're going to feel good after we practice together, but also to ingrain in you that this needs to be a daily practice, and that's the way we build these new neurons. What fires together binds together. And so we need to keep consciously cultivating this positive neuroplasticity, these ways towards health. So just to have an experience of how relaxing it is, if we take a moment to take a few deep breaths, let's say 5 breaths. And we are going to go to this point that we have here in the breastbone. If you come along the breastbone and you kind of notice there the connection with the ribs, and you keep going down more or less at the height of the nipples, you will find a bigger indentation there. And that point is a sea of tranquility point, right? So now we are going to rub our hands, which generates circulation of blood, and qi being the vital energy. That's called qi within the Chinese system, and prana within the yoga system, the Indian system. And so we are going to bring these hands, these healing hands that we all have, towards ourselves, towards that sea of tranquility point that's within the Chinese system. And then we use our palms, these vortexes that we have here of energy, to here. And we are going to practice 5 deep breaths, just stopping everything else just for a moment, paying attention to inhaling slowly, gently, and deeply through the nose, feeling how the air expands our chest. Maybe there is a slight pause, and then exhaling and having the exhalation be longer than the inhalation without forcing. And then pausing for a moment, which also prolongs in a way the time of the exhalation. And when the time comes to inhale without forcing, inhaling like sighing. Feeling the pleasure of breathing, of feeling that expansion of your chest. And as we exhale, letting go together with the air of anything that might be worrying us at this moment or during today. Inhaling like sign, and then exhaling, having the exhalation be a little bit longer than the inhalation. The natural pause, and then again inhaling. So 2 or 3 more of these at your own pace. Inviting your body to relax, your shoulders, your face. Maybe having a soft smile in your face brings an extra sense of softening. Noticing for a moment how you feel after the practice. Noticing the sense of security and calmness that those few deep breaths have given you, and knowing how it feels, just taking inventory of how it feels when you calm down, because that's the second part, the second element, according to Boris Cyrulnik. Besides this sense of grounding yourself inward, what you want is to recognize or have a sense of knowing that you can come into these spaces. So you do it, practice it, and then take a moment afterwards to experience it and to kind of let yourself know that you can experience it, because that's also part of the resilience, is to know that although you have faced difficulties, or maybe you are facing difficulties right now, you have been able at different moments to bring yourself to a space of calmness. And also, if you look back in your life, you probably know that you have gone through different challenges and you have been able to overcome it. But today, more simple, more direct is this practice of calming yourself and knowing that you can calm yourself. And that the more you do it, the more you will be able to keep doing it. So that's the second element. The third element that he talks about is relationships. And he talks about how important it is to hang around with people that help us sustain these changes that we want to bring in our life. And if you are a person that likes more to be alone, that's okay. It could be also the relation to yourself. But if you can do both, especially in these times of sometimes feeling worried, overwhelmed, don't isolate yourself. If at all possible, if it comes natural, if you can think within your environment which groups support this kind of taking care of yourself and seeing the positive part of yourself, coming to them. For example, our lovely community, right? Just like we feel so good practicing together. And you might have also other groups that you want to cultivate. But another thing that I would like to comment as related to this is also keep reflecting. We can keep reflecting on how important it is, uh, again, to become more and more conscious of how we talk to ourselves about ourselves, and also how we talk to ourselves about other people. Sometimes we are rough with ourselves. We are not very kind. We do something wrong, or we did something wrong in the past, and we keep coming back to that and having a hard time loving ourselves or forgiving ourselves. So what you have to remember at that time is, okay, I did this, that, and I regret that I did it. I wish I wouldn't have done it that way, but it was part of my fear, my ignorance at that time. And at this time, instead of going back to that which depletes me, I'm going to cultivate forgiving myself so that I can move forward. And if you want to practice something on forgiveness, there are also several forgiveness meditations that you can find, and also in the new paradigms there are some in Spanish and in English. um, so how we talk to ourselves is very important, and it's I'm signaling here because this is the space of the heart, right? Feeling love for ourselves and feeling love for others, feeling self-compassion. And then the last component is, he calls it culture. I would call it also embodied purpose. And what he means culture is how to create an environment for yourself, the kind of your daily culture, if you want, that would again reinforce what you are doing. And I call it more like reconnecting with the real purpose of your life. It's like um, finding what talents do you have and sharing them with others. So, and also trusting that no matter how difficult the situation it is or that you're facing, is part of a journey for you to keep growing and keep developing. Because if we have that trust on a bigger purpose, not just surviving or going from day to day with some measure of calmness or comfort, if we have this bigger understanding that we are really embodied spirit, and that our work that we are doing on ourselves is not just for ourselves but also to radiate it to others, then we have more resilience, more capacity to keep inspiring ourselves, to keep learning, and to keep sharing. So let's do some practices besides the one of breathing and bringing our hands here. We know from the physical point of view, massaging, right? Massaging your abdomen, very important to have a sense of peacefulness in your abdomen and in your stomach and spleen, which are so much affected by wearing, and in your liver and gallbladder, which are affected by anger, and in your kidneys, which have to do with the feelings of fear. That's another physical way of cultivating physical resilience and also working with emotions. And today I want to practice with you a meditation that integrates these three dimensions of ourselves: how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to others, and how we relate to the bigger purpose in our life. And let's practice together, and you will see how it integrates these three dimensions. And it has everything to do also with cultivating resilience and cultivating positive neuroplasticity, the possibility of keeping learning and keeping moving forward, no matter what challenges we have. So I invite you to practice now with me this meditation. First of all, we put ourselves in a position that's comfortable and that has our spine straight and our body relaxed. So we have learned in many traditions the importance of the spine straight so that there is more space for the nervous system, the spine, everything to have its connection to also the organs, the nerves, um, informing the organs, and also the chest to feel open instead of feeling, kind of bearing the weight of the shoulder of the world in your shoulders. Spine straight, body relaxed. You can imagine that an angel is very gently pulling your hair up so that you have some sense of a spine elongated if you can, and the shoulders hanging like drapes. And maybe you can visualize your back like if it's a wall. The spine is like a wall, so it's very straight, but the rest of the body is soft and relaxed. And we are going to bring our palms to a point that's 4 finger breadths down from the navel. So we find that and we put the hand there. This point is called Sea of Energy. It's an acupressure and acupuncture point, very important. Is also an area of what in Chinese is called the lower dantian, lower field of the elixir of long life and health. And in the yoga classical system, it will be the Manipura chakra, one of the vortexes of energy. And in all the cultures of the world, all the ancient cultures, they all kind of recognize that there are 3 major vital energy points, centers, one at the abdomen, one at the heart, and one at the third eye. So we are putting our hand there in the sea of energy point, 4 finger breadths down from our abdomen, and the center of the palm is there. And we bring the attention there, and we invite a sense of grounding. You could, if you like, practice a little bit of abdominal breath, which means that when you exhale, you bring your abdomen in, let all the air out, and then slowly you release your abdomen, the wall of your abdomen, so it bulges up, and you are inhaling at that point. And then whenever the time to exhale comes, you bring the abdomen in again, exhaling. And then let the wave of air come all the way down to the abdomen, relaxing the abdomen. So we're doing this abdominal breath that is the same way that the babies breathe. Very relaxed, very relaxing, inviting a sense of grounding. It's a grounding of being supported wherever you are sitting or laying down. And also it's a grounding inwardly. Grounded like if you were a mountain. This is very good because when you are having this sense of grounding and of relaxation at the level of your abdomen, all the microbiome, all this rich universe of different small organisms that have everything to do with your digestion, but also have to do with the production of serotonin, which is the hormone of happiness. 90% of that is produced at the level of the abdomen, of the intestine, when the intestine is relaxed. And then it informs the brain and it produces an even greater sense of relaxation. So if you don't have time for much more, take a few deep abdominal breaths, learn to do the abdominal breaths. Also practice them when you go to sleep at night. It's just very relaxing. So we continue our meditation. We are first grounding here. Another thing I wanted to mention is that that point, the sea of energy point, has to do with how we talk to ourselves. What is our sense of ourselves in the world? The sea of energy point has everything to do also with overcoming processes of perhaps guilt, self-doubt, blame, many of the unkind ways that we have to talk to ourselves. So this is When we are talking about grounding, we are also talking about um, having a sense of being at ease with ourselves. And we can invite that through the breathing and through having our hands here at the sea of energy point. It will naturally calm also those processes. Okay. So the next level that we want to work with is the level of the heart. And as we mentioned, we have here this very important and calming point, the sea of tranquility point. Now we're going to bring our two hands here. And at this moment, we are going to be thinking of relationships. So, how can we invite more space as we think of relationships? And we can, for example, feel ourselves loving someone. That's the all this area here that has to do with relationships with love, loves feeling love. So either expressing love, sending love, which we have been doing in many of our classes. At the end of the class, we often send love to someone, sending love to someone that at this moment may be needing it, and visualizing the person receiving it and smiling and feeling this sense of spaciousness that connects us to them wherever they are. And experiencing 2 or 3 breaths, 5 breaths, sending love and visualizing the person smiling. We smile to them, they smile back. We sense this sense of sending love and perhaps receiving love, knowing that this is a very essential part of who we are, this capacity of loving. And if you are going through a very difficult time, perhaps in your life where um, you need extra help, remembering persons that have loved you, or maybe even they are present today, but even a grandmother or a mother or friends, some experiences of being loved, and calling those angels, those allies to be with you and accompany you right now. Receiving what your heart is needing right now. Like if it was a little bird in your hands and you are holding it with care, with amazement, with love. And not judging anything that happens, just experimenting with it. Whatever happens is great. And then the third area, then we are going to then have the three resonating with each other. The third area is here, just a little bit above the eyebrow, this point here is what in some cultures called the third eye, The Chinese culture is called the upper field of the elixir. In yoga, it's called Anya chakra, one of the vortexes. And so we are going to, if it's okay with you, we can, or you can, wet your thumb and then touch there. And then as we keep breathing this chest breathing of relaxing like we were before while we were holding our heart, now we are doing that kind of breath, but bringing the attention to the third eye, which would be like 4 finger breath inward, but the height is like about here, just a little bit above the eyebrows at the center. So we do a few of these breaths, bringing the attention there. And this is the one where we are connecting with this greater sense of who we are and what is our journey. And so inviting a sense of peace and of light, being the awareness that observes everything, and also the trust. We trust the journey. We trust that we are that higher self that is within us, and that we are cultivating and awakening through our attention and intention and working every day in whichever way we can, inviting a sense of light and inner peace. Like if the full moon was shining in the center of your head. We are at full moon time right now. If the full moon is shining in the center of your head, so you don't need to keep touching here. You would touch there just for a moment, and then you can lower your hand and just imagine the full moon shining from the center of your head and helping you to relax by illuminating your all the cells of your face, of your brain, of your head. All that's being illuminated by this cooling, gentle light. And maybe you can recall the sense of silence and light that there is in a summer night. Of a clear sky. And knowing that we are that we are the clear sky, and that the clouds that sometimes we feel enveloping us or burdening us are passing. They are passing thoughts, passing emotions, passing physical pain, and that we can keep coming back to this sense of who we are as an awareness that uh, keeps learning how to go little step towards greater inner peace and light. And so now, for a moment, as we keep the awareness of, um, maybe we can move the hands, if you like, back to the abdomen, that sense of grounding. And then, when you're ready, back to your heart, that sense of loving, of spaciousness, warmth. And at the forehead, the sense of light and inner peace. And having these 3 senses of grounding, loving, and spaciousness, and of light and inner peace, each one at the different vortexes of energy in our body, resonating with each other, integrating a sense of trust, in the journey, a sense of loving, and a sense of being grounded in ourselves, in the understanding that we are love and that we are peace. And that sometimes when that doesn't seem to be so is because we have been out of balance, or we are being out of balance, and we are, through these meditations, through breathing, through the release points, through kindness, coming back to balance. We are cultivating positive neuroplasticity and resilience, physical and emotional resilience. Experiencing the resonance between these three centers. I'm going to 2 more times hit the gong for you to experience that resonance. And having this deep sense of relaxation and integration, of trusting ourselves, trusting our relationships, our ways of relating, and trusting our journey, our purpose, our higher purpose, this continuous journey of awakening. And then finding perhaps something that you can cultivate this week towards that sense of grounding, of inner security, safety, towards a sense of spaciousness and love, and towards reconnecting with your higher purpose. And again, it can be something so simple like taking a few deep breaths every time you notice you're being triggered with negative thoughts and negative emotions. That's already cultivating positive neuroplasticity. That's already cultivating resilience. Just take a few deep pause and take a few deep breaths. Or it might take also other forms. Just it's an invitation. And as we were saying today, it's a lifestyle invitation that lasts for as long as we live, and we are always exploring, enriching, trying things, sharing, cultivating, sharing with others. It's very important, this sense of having a community and also of sharing our gifts with others. So especially in our world today, we really are needing whatever forms of support we can offer each other. So thank you. Thank you for participating today. And I hope some of these things are simple enough that you can practice here in the week.